Bonjour mes amis, et bienvenue au Pendu dans la Lune. Hello friends. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille or antique Italian decks to answer a question related to living the intentional life. And this question comes from my larger weekly spread, which is Rider-Waite-Smith based, which I've already done and I've already uploaded. This week's larger spread was based on the idea of gentleness as it relates to living life intentionally. And it was a very interesting, a very deep and meaningful spread, I believe. I was a little surprised by it. And if you haven't seen it, I will put a card up here so that you can hop over and take a look at that. I would recommend it. I think it was a very meaningful discussion. So we did that, and from that larger spread, I pulled a question. And I answered that question with three cards, either Tarot de Marseille or an antique Italian deck. And this week, I am using my lovely Nicoals Conver deck from Artisan Tarot. Now, the Nicoals Conver deck is an old deck from 1760, I believe, in France. And this deck is a redrawing, a modern redrawing by a wonderful new team of creators called Artisan Tarot. And it came in this beautiful, beautiful rosewood box. And I love this deck. So I'm using this deck again. I used it last week. And I will put a link below if you want to get the deck. Unfortunately, this beautiful box is no longer available. And I'm sorry, I really am in love with this box. I'm sorry that you can't get it if you don't have it already, because this is the best tarot box that I have. This is far and above the best one that I have. But the deck itself is gorgeous. This deck has wonderful cardstock. Yeah, it's very thin, but it's very flexible. It's very durable and it's a dream to shuffle. It's very easy to shuffle. So I highly recommend this deck. It's on a linen cardstock. It's a dream. It's a dream. So if you want to get this deck, there will be a link below. I'm sorry that the box is no longer available. I love this box. Okay, anyways. This is not a video about a box. This is a video about living life intentionally. So I will set this aside and let's take a look at the question and the spread. The question was, how do we best respond to the resistant prods from within? Do you ever notice that? That when we've made a decision, that when we get inspired to do something, sometimes there is a conflicting prod that gives us the feeling that maybe we're not good enough, that maybe we can't do it, that maybe we should do something else. Now, for me, that was the Seven of Wands card from a Rider-Waite-Smith deck from the larger spread. And so I saw that and I wanted to say, well, okay, if that happens, what do we do? So how do we respond to those conflicting Seven of Wands moments when we want to live gently, moving with the powerful flow of intention? So that's the question. And I've got the spread all laid out. So I will show you the question in text form, just so that it's easier to remember. And I'll show you the cards right now. This is a beautiful deck, isn't it? Artisan Tarot has made a lovely redrawing of the Nicoals Conver deck. I'm just in love with it. I'm in love with the box, but I'm also in love with the deck. Let's go back to the question. So again, how do we best respond to the resistant prods from within? And again, that came from a Seven of Wands card in a Rider-Waite-Smith deck in my larger spread. And so we have three cards. We have the Papes, yeah? We have the Eight of Coins, and we have the Ten of Cups. And you notice that the Papes is seated facing away from the other two cards, and there's a cloth hanging behind the papess's head. Now, this cloth can be significant to one extent or another, depending on the reading, the question, the lay of the cards. And I'm not going to read it as significantly as I might otherwise have read it for this grouping, because I don't think this is cutting the papesse off from the other two cards. It's not a complete separation. Now, that cloth, I think, serves another purpose in this spread. Now, you notice that the papesse was looking off to the left, yeah? And honestly, now that I'm here sitting, reading the cards again, this is like my second or third time looking at this spread and contemplating it, I now realize, after I've gotten the cards laid, I've taken the photo, I've uploaded it, I trimmed it, and all of that stuff. After all of that, I now realize that, I probably could have laid a fourth card over there to the left of the papesse to see what the papesse is looking at. That would have been a very good idea, actually. And in another spread at another time, I will have done that. But we're going to go with these cards exactly as they are, just to let you know. So we've got the papesse sitting here on the left, looking out into nothingness, into space. But that actually could be significant for this reading as well. So who is the papesse? For me, the papesse is self-knowledge. The papesse is self-development. Now you see the papesse has a book open in front. And so this is also a card of study for me and many people. And that study can be of different things. It could be like book learning, yeah? There's a book, the papesse is studying the book, like a book you get out of the library. It could be math, it could be philosophy, it could be literature, it could be a foreign language, it could be anything. Yeah, but study. That's one way to read this card. But it could also be self-study. This could be the book of life. It could be the book of self. And in this spread of cards, that's the direction I'm going to be reading this in. It's that study of self. And also retreat and isolation. Not the isolation of the hermit. We're not going that far. Yeah? The papesse isn't one to go off into the wilderness with their lamp and find a cave and meditate. Although we're not discounting meditation, we'll get to that in a moment. But not that kind of isolation. Yeah? This is an isolation of removing oneself from immediate distractions. Now, and that's what that curtain to me is, especially in this one. It's not the hermit's retreat entirely from everything, but the papesse cuts herself off from distractions in the surroundings, like turning off the TV, turning off the sound on our cell phones, closing the door so people don't come in and bother us. Yeah, that kind of temporary isolation. So that kind of retreat, that kind of isolation. It's also the card of feminine wisdom. And I kept saying she. So we all have the papesse and the pope within us all. Male bodies, female bodies, non-gendered bodies, transgendered bodies. All of us have both aspects in each of us. We all know and recognize that, I believe. And the way I learned this card was feminine wisdom. Honestly, I don't like the word feminine anymore. I don't like the words feminine or masculine because of the way that they are related to female and male, as in sex, as in our embodied sex. Yeah? I think we need other adjectives now. Because men are that have that capacity and that quality that we have called feminine, and women have that capacity and quality that we have called masculine, but they're not the bodies that inform that characteristic. So I really think we need different language around that. So rather than feminine wisdom, let me describe what I see. What kind of wisdom? For me, the papes is the one of deep wisdom, wide wisdom, like an ocean. Like an ocean is deep and wide, that kind of wisdom. The wisdom of experience, but also the wisdom of the unconscious, the wisdom of our ancestry, the wisdom of the earth, that earthy wisdom, the watery wisdom, the receptive wisdom. If we're looking at yin-yang, or in Korean, yang, the papes is the or the yin-yang, is the or the yang of the yin-yang, yang pairing. And dark, not dark as in light is good, dark is bad, but dark as in gentle, quiet. Not bright and harsh, but gentle, quiet of darkness. The darkness of the womb, the darkness of the earth, the darkness of the ocean. Now that kind of wisdom, not as opposed to, but in relation to. Now these are not opposing ideas. They're not like opposing as in fighting. They're part of a spectrum, of a gentle spectrum, of a circle, you might say. And one part of the circle is earth and water, the other part of the circle is air and fire, and they meet and they meld at one point, and they're a little farther away at another point, but they're not in opposition, right? So this is the dark side of light, the gentle side of perhaps sometimes harsh, the cool side of sometimes hot. Neither side being good or bad, better or worse, but the other side. The papes is that side and the pope is the other. The bright, light, harsh, the sky wisdom. The wisdom, as opposed to the wisdom. Does that make sense? So that's who the papes is for me. Now that kind of wisdom, and also meditation, because in meditation, again, we don't have to run off to some temple deep in the forest or high up on a mountain to meditate. We can go into our room. In fact, we don't even have to go into our room, but it's easier. We go into our room, we turn off the TV, we turn off the sound on our phone, we perhaps dim the lights or turn off the lights, maybe light a candle. We isolate ourselves, not like the hermit, but we isolate ourselves. We cut ourselves off from distraction and stimulation so that we can give attention to what is in calmness. Not only what is internally, also externally. We are aware of the entirety of existence here, but we limit our distractions. That's what the popes is to me. And that's what one meaning of that curtain behind the head of the popes is to me. So meditation. So what does this all mean? What does this mean in terms of our question? Well, that's the first step. That is the first step to me. The popes is the one who tells us that when we are feeling that internal conflict, that resistance, the fight within, our first response is perhaps meditation, but perhaps removing ourselves from the distraction of our surroundings and reflecting, gazing within, observing within, from whence that resistance is coming. Not for the purpose of removing it, but for the purpose of self-knowledge, for the purpose of self-development, for the purpose of bringing calm attention to it. Now, the wonderful benefit is that when we bring calm attention to it, when we discover who we are and where that is coming from, 9 times out of 10, that is going to start settling. That resistance is going to start melting away. We are going to be able to begin to open. And as we open, we enter into the 8 of coins. We enter into the 8 of coins, open to abundance, which is one of my favorite ways of seeing the 8 of coins, being open to abundance. It can also be self-care. Yeah? Caring for ourselves, our physical bodies, but also our emotional bodies and our mental bodies and our spiritual bodies. Yeah? Caring for self, nurturing our health in all aspects, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. Knew I was missing one there. And also being in balance. Yeah? After we've given attention and we've begun to open, we can notice that we have regained balance. Harmony. Yeah? The 8 is 4 fours. Yeah, there's 4 down and 4 above. There's a harmony in that balance. And a stability and a structure. But structure upon structure, right? It's also the flow of energy through the matter. And it can also be gratefulness, yeah? Being grateful for what we have. Being grateful for the abundance that exists, the infinite abundance that we are part of. That's the 8 for me. So we go from the popes, observing, learning, doing a little bit of discernment, a little bit of self-understanding, a little bit of relaxation, of opening into the 8 of coins, where we begin to reestablish our harmony, take care of our health. We open to the abundance that is around us, and as a response, we feel gratitude. And then we move into the 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups. Finding peace is one way of looking at this card for me. Finding peace. Now we've gone from that internal resistant struggle to now we've not only have we opened and we've discovered and are able to feel gratitude for our abundance, the abundance that is here, but now we're able to find peace within that. And feeling of completion. The 10s are the end of their suit, yeah? It's completion. About to transition into something else. Maybe back to the Ace of Cups. Maybe transition to another suit. The Ace of Wands, the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Rider-Waite-Smith coming out, the Ace of Coins. Now, I often see that cup as having a coin, the 10th cup as having a coin up there, and that 10 of cups can move into the coins suit. We're being ready to offer up the material from an emotional abundance. And it's preparing for the next step. But as we're preparing for the next step, we are feeling the completion of where we are now. We'll evolve emotionally, but we'll also feel the completion of where we are now. Because evolving from a sense of dissatisfaction is going to be less satisfying, right? Leadership could also be a possible thing for the 10 of Cups for me. Leadership, that works. I can see it now. So we've gone through the 8 of coins and we've gotten our abundance game going. And so we lead ourselves. We lead ourselves as we begin the transition into the next step. But we can also take our role as leaders for others. After we have learned about ourselves from our own resistance, we can begin to lead others as well. Because we've grown, we've evolved. And it's also assuming responsibility for others in the place of love. Not the same as being the leader of others, like the King of Wands would be the leader of others. Yeah? But the leader of others assuming responsibility for others in an emotional sense. Yeah? I am so full that I can take some responsibility for your emotional state a little bit. I'm not sure I like where that's going, honestly. But leadership and a responsibility for others can be part of the Ten of Cups. I've lost the thread of where that went, and maybe that's for a good thing. So let's leave that aside. But universal love, yeah, love for others, the expansive love for others, which is a place for us to grow to after our own internal conflict. So again, where have we come from and how have we gotten to where we are now? We've started with an internal conflict. A passion, a fire that's fighting within itself, from within us. And sometimes it's apparent in our environment as well. We see people that look like they're coming to attack us, but we know that realization, that our seeing that in the environment around us is a reflection of what's going on within us as well. And so the best place, the only place that we can really do the work is here. And so we go into the papes. We cut ourselves off from the distraction of what's going on around us. And we look within and we observe, and what do I see? And what can I learn from this? And as we observe, as we perhaps even meditate, we open. And we begin to open into the Eight of Coins. And the Eight of Coins reminds us of the abundance that exists around us, that there's no need to be resistant. There's no need to struggle within. And we open. And we care for ourselves. We care for ourselves in many aspects. And we find our balance. We find our harmony. And then we move into the 10 because we've started to grow emotionally. And we are feeling more expansive. And we can start to, okay, I'm back with the responsibility. We can start being responsible for others' emotional states in the sense that we can influence them. We can influence them. Our stability, our openness can influence the way that others are acting and being around us. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you walk into a room and you feel calm, you feel happy, you're doing your vibe, the good vibe, yeah, you're doing your vibe, you're feeling the joy of life, and people around you start to settle down and calm down a little bit. It's that kind of having emotional influence on the others. And as we have calmed the resistance within ourselves, we could probably notice that the resistance from the outside begins to melt away as well. And in that sense, we are influencing the emotional state of those around us. Now, it's not our job to fix them. That's not what we're saying here. It's not our job to fix them, and we can't fix them. That is an impossibility. But we can influence them. And that's what I think this 10 of Cups is also reminding us of. That we can influence emotionally those around us. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. If it makes sense, comment below. If it doesn't make sense, comment below. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Does this reading do something for you? Does it spark something for you? Does it not spark something for you? I'd love to hear from you. And friends, hit the like button if you can remember to do that, because I love to hear that people have watched and gotten something from this. And it also helps the channel as well. it brings more eyes to the channel if videos are getting action of one kind or another. And one kind is that little like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. Hit the alarm bell so that you get notifications of when I upload videos. I upload videos these days about twice, at least twice, maybe 3 times a week. So hit the alarm bell and share this with anyone who you think might get benefit from it. That would be wonderful too. And again, comment below. I would love to hear from you. And if you're interested in getting a private reading from me, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You can do it. I have a link to my Instagram account below. Go over to my Instagram, send me a DM, a direct message, and we'll work it out. Now, I can give you a private reading if that's something you're interested in. And friends, now, also, if you want the deck, I'm sorry the box is not available, but if you want the deck, there's a link for that too. Okay, so friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.